Welcome back to Making the Case. Each week we tell the stories of people living on death row. So tonight we take you to Tennessee in the case of Abu-Ali Abdur'Rahman. After being convicted of first-degree murder, Abdur'Rahman has spent the last 34 years living on death row. He was found guilty by a mostly white jury and sentenced to death in 1987. In the time since, 8 of those jurors say they no longer have confidence in their verdict, not to mention the DA and a judge agreed to set aside the death sentence. Despite all of this, Abu remains on death row. Joining me now is his attorney, Kelley Henry, as well as his close friend and spiritual advisor, Linda Manning. Thanks to you both for coming on tonight.
Thank you.
Kelley, to you first. Talk to us, please, about the initial facts of Abu's case, please.
Yes, certainly. Abu-Ali was born James Jones, and he is a young man, was brutally terrorized by his father, who was in the military. And Abu went on a spiritual journey to find himself. He ended up being taken under the wing of some folks in Nashville called the Southern SGM, the Southern Gospel Ministry. He believed he was helping eradicate the scourge of drug addiction amongst the youth in Nashville. He was persuaded to participate in an event that tragically took the life of Patrick Daniels and forever changed the lives of Norma Norman and her children. The facts of what happened that night are highly disputed, and what we learned is that the district attorney at the time withheld important evidence which would have shown that Abu was not the main perpetrator of the crime. That evidence was hidden from the defense for years. And what we know about Abu is that he is a person with severe mental illness who has struggled mightily over many, many years to overcome that illness and become a person who contributes to society and those around him. His trial was a travesty marred by ineffective assistance of counsel and prosecutorial misconduct, including the fact that the prosecutor excluded an African American juror, saying that, quote, he was inarticulate, even though this juror we know had a college degree and was a pastor.
Mm-hmm. We're going to get to that in a few minutes. You mentioned that Abu suffered abuse as a child from his father. What did he go through exactly?
And Linda probably can describe it in more detail than I can because of her experience as a trauma expert, but from what Abu has shared with me and others, his father terrorized him physically, sexually, emotionally. It was a living hell where he would be locked in a closet, his penis tied with a belt to the rod in the closet. And he would have to stand there in that stress position for hours on end. Abu would escape to the woods to be with animals where he could find peace and comfort.
Wow. He also endured trauma, I was told, in the juvenile system after going in and out of detention facilities as a teenager. Could you provide more background on that?
Absolutely. So, you know, Abu, as you can tell from the pictures, he's a small man. He was very slight. And he was a person who was victimized by other children and other individuals in the juvenile justice system. He was someone who was sensitive and a target of attack, both physically and sexually, while he was incarcerated as a child. No one was there to protect him.
Wow. Linda, let me bring you in. Over the years, you've become Abu's spiritual advisor and close friend. How did you two meet and develop a friendship?
Yes, thank you so much for having me tonight. I am delighted to talk about Abu. He's quite a remarkable man. I was involved with a group of students at the Divinity School at Vanderbilt University, where I teach, when they were protesting the first execution in Tennessee in 40 years. That was in 2000. And through that protest, met people involved in protesting the death penalty in general. And one of them asked me if I would be willing to visit with a man who had no family, no visitors, and would likely be dead in 6 months. And at the time, I thought to myself, no one should have to have that journey by themselves, and I can do anything for 6 months. And that was, as I said, October of 2000. So it's been a little longer than 6 months over the
Yeah.
years.
Well, tell me how receptive he was. I mean, what did he say when you showed up? Did he trust you? How did you guys develop this closeness, and how did you then become a spiritual advisor for him?
I think it was very difficult for Abu to trust me at first. When we first met, I went with his then attorney, Bill Reddick, who has since passed away, out to meet Abu. And we talked for a while, and he asked me several questions. It was pretty clear that he was checking me out, which is very understandable. And he asked things like, where did I grow up? And I grew up in Richmond, Virginia. He asked what was my profession, and I'm a psychologist by training. And obviously, I'm a white woman. And so I could tell as I was answering his questions that he was looking more and more discouraged. So I finally said to Bill Reddick, his attorney, well, Bill, it looks like I have 3 strikes against me. I'm white, I'm a psychologist, and I grew up in a very racist place. And I think that made a difference for Abu, that I simply named the truth of the situation. The psychology part, he had been evaluated in his young life multiple times by psychologists, spent some time in psychiatric hospitals, but he never received treatment because his family resisted it. And later, the evaluations were done in a prison context. So the purpose was not treatment, the purpose was to gather information. So he certainly didn't trust psychologists, and he didn't trust someone from Richmond, Virginia. But because we were able to talk about that openly, and because I showed up every week for a long, long time, he began to trust me over time. The spiritual advisor part came later. I was a visitor for a long time, but when Abu was subject to a date of execution, and that execution was imminent, I applied to the prison to become his spiritual advisor. When he goes to death watch, the 72-hour period before the execution, the only people who can visit him at that time are family members, and he had no family who visited, or his lawyers or spiritual advisor. And he was not open to accepting the prison chaplain as a spiritual advisor because, as Kelley mentioned, the people that initially got him involved in this crime were describing themselves as Christians, the Southeastern Gospel Ministry. So he was not very trusting of Christians and Christianity at that time. He had converted to Islam at that point. And so I practiced Buddhism, and that gave us an in. He was open to talking with me about spiritual matters. He wanted to learn about Buddhism, and the prison was open to him having someone other than a Christian spiritual advisor.
Kelley, Linda, we've got to go to break, but when we get back, I want to talk more about this trial and evidence that was withheld, Kelley, and more about your relationship with Abu, Linda, as a spiritual advisor. More of Making the Case when we get back. Welcome back to Making the Case. Still with me is Abu's attorney, Kelley Henry, and good friend and spiritual advisor, Linda Manning. Kelley, I want to go back to the trial, jury selection specifically. During voir dire, the prosecution dismissed a black man. You mentioned it earlier, saying that he was inarticulate, uneducated, but in fact he had a college degree. What can you tell us about the DA who tried this case?
So the DA who tried this case is a man named John Zimmerman, who has been cited for unethical behavior of cases, both Sixth Circuit as well as the Tennessee Supreme Court. He has, subsequent to Abu's trial, actually trained other prosecutors at the District Attorney General's conference meeting in Tennessee, where they get together and have training sessions amongst each other about ways and methods to exclude jurors based on race. He actually teaches other prosecutors to think about the fact about where a juror's particular zip code is and what that means for how they might view a defendant, be the defendant African American or Latino. In Abu's case, it was absolutely just, textbook racism when he described this juror as quote unquote inarticulate. I mean, that's not a dog whistle, dog scream. I mean, right? And yet the courts let that go until 2019, when the District Attorney General in Nashville, the new District Attorney General, got together with lead counsel for Abu-Ali, Mr. Brad McClain, and said, I can't stand behind this verdict because racism, as he stood up in court, I'll never forget it because it was my son's birthday. Racism has no place in the criminal justice system, is what this district attorney said. I left that courtroom and broke down in tears because I had never heard a DA stand up and say something like that. And that, to me, justice was done that day, but unfortunately later that settlement agreement was taken away. But what we know is that this district attorney used race to exclude a qualified African American juror from Abu's case. And that may have made all the difference because, as we know, in a capital case, it takes only one juror to vote for life. Mm-hmm. And if that juror had stayed on the case and voted for life, Abu would not be on death row.
Okay, so that was jury selection, the actual guilt, innocence portion of the trial. You say prosecutors withheld key evidence during that whole thing. What evidence are we talking about?
We're talking about blood spatter evidence on the coat that Abu was wearing at the time of the crime. There's a real question as to who, there's a co-defendant in the case, Duval Miller, and there's a question as to who it was in the homicide. Mr. Miller actually received a very light sentence and was ultimately paroled and then picked up new charges and has been since incarcerated. It has been our belief always that he was the perpetrator of the murder. Abu, because of his PTSD, has no memory of the offense itself and so could not defend himself. But the coat he was wearing had no blood. And if he had been the perpetrator of the crime, you would have expected there to be blood spatter all over the coat. Yet that was hidden from defense counsel.
Linda, I'm going to pull you back in. You forged a decades-long friendship with Abu. How would you describe him as a person today?
Abu-Ali is a remarkable man. He is dedicated to creating what he calls a therapeutic environment on death row and supporting peace among the inmates and between the inmates and the correctional officers. He has taken a course in mediation through a program in the prison that helped him to get a certification in mediation skills, and he uses that to settle disputes within the unit and to support inmates in their journey and to keep the peace on Unit 2. The correctional officers at Riverbend Maximum Security Institution will tell you that Unit 2, which is death row, is the safest unit to work in the entire prison. And that is due, in my opinion, in large part to Abu's influence. He wants to support everyone who is working on their own mental health because he knows that, like him, many of the people on death row suffer from trauma, from difficult experiences in childhood and later in life, and that they can be easily triggered in such a setting. And he is constantly working to keep things calm and peaceful and have them progress. He is a deeply spiritual man. He has pulled together information over the years from many different spiritual traditions. He has returned to Christianity and his birth religion of Christianity. He's now a member of an Episcopal church here in town, and works to be a part of a group on the unit that talks about spirituality with other inmates, and wants to bring a program called Education for Ministry into the prison, and is working on that right now. So he's also quite an artist and a writer, and deeply kind. I see you have some of his art up on screen right now. I have a lot of it in my home. His creativity is an outlet for him. It is a way that he expresses his emotions, his spirituality, his connection to others.
You know, Linda, thank you so much for providing such color to this individual. When we talk about people on death row, they're treated as throwaways, like they're not human. And so you providing that context is so incredibly important. And as we could see there, he is talented, clearly, and has made an impact on those on the inside, and clearly an impact on you as well. Kelley Henry, please keep us updated on this case. And thank you both for joining us tonight. More Making the Case after this.